I have a friend, he's a very chashva Rav, Ramat Bet Shemesh, his name is Rav Aaron Pessin. Rav Aaron told me that he travels to Connecticut many times to visit Mishpacha, and when he's there, he davens in either one of two cities. And one of the two cities, he tells me, there's always a minyan. Every time I go, I always find a minyan. The other city, he tells me, it was almost impossible to find a minyan. I would come to shul and there wouldn't be a minyan. It's very strange for me. How come there's never a minyan here? One day he tells me, I'm in shul waiting for a minyan, and I hear two people talking. One says to the other one, did you try out the new kosher restaurant in town? It's amazing. The other one said, yeah, it was great. So I'm thinking to myself, wait, you have enough people to support a kosher restaurant, but you don't have enough people to get a minyan for mincha? What's going on over here? So I go over to the Gabbai. I said to the Gabbai, I have a question for you. How could it be that you have enough people to support a kosher restaurant, but you don't have enough people to get a minyan for mincha? The Gabbai says, let me make your question stronger. We have two kosher restaurants. I said, okay, what's the pshat? He says, it all goes back to the curse of the rabbi. Many years ago, there was a rabbi in town. He was one of the first rabbis in America, and he started one of the first yeshivas in America, and he was a real Rav, like a real European type of Rav, but the city was a real American city. And he cracked down on the butchers of the city. If they wanted hashgacha, he was makpid on them to make sure they did what they needed to do. The butchers didn't like him. Now butchers, they're tough guys. So the butchers decided to take revenge on the rabbi. What did they do? Purim came. That Purim, they delivered shalach manos to the house of the rabbi. Beautifully wrapped package. The rebbitzin opened the package. She didn't know that inside the package there were rats in the package. They were crazed. They had been starved. And they were killing each other. The rebbitzin saw this. The rebbitzin lost her mind. She had to be hospitalized. And when the Rav saw what happened to his wife, the Rav said, I curse you, this city, you'll never be a Makam Torah. So the Gabbai, the curse of the rabbi came true. People try to start yeshivas and people try to start things. People don't come to minyan. It's mamish, the rabbi's curse. So a person said, wait a second. Did you ever go to ask Mechila from the rabbi? Did you ever go to his grave? He said, I try. I've tried to put together a minyan to go to the grave, but every time I try, something happens. I'll give you an example. He said, a number of years ago, I tried to put together a group of people to go, and we set a date, and then there was the biggest storm that we saw in the last 20 years on the eastern seaboard. You can look it up, he told him. Kitzur, it didn't work out. So Aaron told him, look, I'm in America for a few more days. Here's my phone number. If you see you can put together a minyan, let me know and I'm going to come. I want to join you. He didn't call. When Rav Aaron went back to Eretz Yisrael, he went into Rabbi Yashiv. He asked him, does this city have a chiyuv to ask Mechila from the Rav? So Yashiv wrote back. He wrote a tshuva, and the tshuva was that the city don't have a mamasha chiyuv because it's not them, it's their grandparents, whatever, the great-grandparents. However, that said, there was a tremendous bizayon Talmid Chacham in the city, and therefore the right thing would be for the oilim to go to the Beis HaKvaros and to ask to beit Mechila from the Rav. Rav Aaron sent the psak. Rav Yosef had written and given and sent to him, and he sent it to the Gabbai. The Gabbai organized not just a group, a big group from the city went out. That Shavasa B'Tamas to the Beis HaKvaros. They said Tehillim, they davened, and they asked Mechila from the Rav. Rav Pesach told me, I came back to the city a few weeks later. I went to shul. There was a minyan and more than a minyan. Unbelievable. The curse had been broken. But what do we see from here? The Rav, in his moment of anguish, he said a line. I curse you, he said, this city. You'll never be a Makam Torah. There's tremendous power. It wasn't. 100 years later, it still wasn't. Until they went to the Beis HaKvaros and asked Mechila, and the curse was broken. We see an incredible thing over here. How careful we have to be with what we say. We say, maybe it's 2,000 years ago. Then there was, words had power. No, 100 years ago, and even 20 years ago, and even today. Everything we say has power. So before we speak, don't take 5 minutes. Maybe take half a second. Should I say this? Should I not? Remember, Achayim Amavis, Bi'ad Hashem.